Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt. And you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses them because of what's happened.
We're going to just cut it right there because all of that is completely false. The United States is one of many countries that uses mail-in voting, including Canada, the UK, Germany, Australia, and Switzerland. Also important to note, there's zero evidence of widespread voter fraud, and Trump has been looking. But that is how Donald Trump, the current president of the United States, who, as the New York Times reports, has himself voted through mail-in voting, chose to spend his time today in the middle of what we've been talking about, this high-stakes diplomacy, promising an executive order to address one of his longest-standing and most dangerous unfounded delusions that he didn't actually lose the 2020 presidential election. Another fact check, Trump literally does not have the power to do any of this. According to the Constitution, the power to set the, quote, times, places, and manner, end quote, of elections lies with the states, and only Congress has the ability to override state laws on voting. We're back with Claire. I mean, let me just point out what happened just today. Trump tweets, I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots and also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial voting machines. Well, those voting machines prevailed today, at least one of those companies, Dominion, against Newsmax, winning millions of dollars to settle the lies told about Dominion voting systems, at least. I mean, what is this obsession and delusion at this point about, Claire, and where is it heading?
It's just fascinating to me because I think Putin did this. I think our last guest talked about whoever talked to him last wins. And I think Putin said something about mail-in ballots, and that's where this is coming from. And by the way, do you remember during the election, Nicole, that he, at the beginning of the campaign, was saying, oh, mail-in ballots are terrible. And then Susie Wiles and Chris Savita and all of them that are doing the politics say, you've got to quit saying that. We have to have mail-in ballots. We have a lot of elderly voters that use mail-in ballots and have for years. Quit saying that. And then Trump began to talk about going ahead and voting early and using mail-in ballots. And I could make the argument that had he not turned that around at the end of the campaign, some of those really close margins in those swing states could have gone against him. So he can say this all he wants. All he's doing when he says this is convincing his voters not to use mail-in ballots. That's not very smart. That is not very smart, because I got news for him. I do not think there's any way the Constitution is going to allow him to do away with either mail-in voting or election voting machines. And as you said, Nicole, if there was fraud there, don't you think they would have found it by now? They've been looking for it for how many years, right?
Yeah, I mean, inappropriately, Bill Barr went out looking for it because Trump was ranting about it in an unfounded manner.